Hello everyone and welcome to another Muffin video. Before we dive in here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell and drop a like on the video too if you're enjoying the content. Don't forget to join our Discord server as well if you're not already there. The link is in the description down below. We've also activated our channel membership, which comes with all kinds of perks, so check that out if you're interested in joining. And speaking of channel membership, I do want to take a moment to give a special shout out to our current members. So thanks to all of you, and I hope you're enjoying the benefits. And finally, a reminder that all comments on every video will be automatically entered into our weekly giveaways. Winners will be randomly selected every Monday. So good luck, and let's get this started. Alright, so as popular demand has dictated, we are going to be starting our Q&A sessions with Melomon and Melomon moves. So any burning question about your Melomon and your Melomon moves, now is the time to ask. So starting with, let's see here. Is there a way to generate more Melomon summons? It's rare to get the summons themselves. So to be honest, it is pretty hard to get summoning strings. Compared to a lot of the other resources, it is going to be your most limited resource. And that's why people recommend actually that you save your excess Stellarite for like the wishlist event. So let's say, for example, you're taking a certain amount of Stellarite every day to get your 333 dailies, to get your rifts, extra energy, and then you have Stellarite that you're amassing, you're piling up. You would, generally speaking, if you have extra Stellarite, save that for Melomon summons, because they are super limited as a free-to-play player for sure. You'll get them in some events and certain situations, but otherwise, yeah. Acelina Reaper says, better to get Demon Hound to 3-star with your turn level 6, or Demon Hound 5-star in your turn level 4? That's a good question, Reaper. I mean, generally speaking, that's gonna be so close that it would come down to testing. If you're asking the 3-star of Demon Hound, which gives Awakening Duration, this is the most important one anyway. But obviously when you get to 5-star, you're going to get the Awakened effect, which is going to increase the actual Awakening skill to a higher percentage, which is also pretty important. So the answer to you, Reaper, is the only way to know which is better is to test it, because it's going to be pretty close, to be honest with you. But I think that honestly, the Awakening 5-star with the level 4 your turn would probably be more DPS. It would probably be more DPS than 2 more levels of your turn. But definitely check that out. So Avi asks, do you still get crit determination bonus from Smarty even if you're near cap, like 48% or something? Yes, good question, and I'm glad you asked, because a lot of people tend to forget this. The Smarty special skill, Book of Answers, which gives a random increase to crit rate, haste, and determination every 20 seconds. This goes over the cap. So even if you're capped, like I'm capped right now on a lot of skills, like let's take a look. Let's see. So, well, I thought it was actually, yeah, determination is capped, etc. So even though I'm really close, 49%, 50% on some, it doesn't matter. This skill and any other type of skill that increases these stats in combat, and by a percentage amount specifically, go over the cap. It's important to remember that the cap exists just for numerical stats, and anything that's percentage based will still apply. So yeah, if you're capped on stats, Book of Answers will still increase, which means you can go 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%. You can in theory get 100%. Reed says, how many materials needed for legendary skills to go from level 0 to level 10? I believe to level 10, let's see if we can get one that has a lot of dupes. I think it's, yeah, is it 105 actually? No, 70. It's 70 to 10, right? Yeah, 70 dupes to level 10. So Reed asks, yeah. So it's 70 dupes to get to level 10. I just wanted to double check. Is starring up support Melomon benefit us in any way? Yes, Liho. Starring up your support Melomon gives you additional stats here. So these HP attack defense stats go up as you star up the Melomons. You can see here every couple levels is Melomon stats. So at blue it's 5%, 5%. At purple it's 10%, 10%. Then it's 15%, 15%, etc. So all of these stats do add up and increase your gains in the HP attack and defense. So that's very important. That's why I've always said the best way to approach your support Melomon is to equip the highest duped legendaries that you have that you're not going to use their special skill. Because if you have to use their special skill, it makes no sense to put them in support, because you're gonna need to power up both their skill and their stars. You're gonna have less stars to get stats from in the support slot. So yeah, definitely star up your supports. It's important. Why do you need a lot of Demon Hound copies before Generation 2 Melomon? The reason you need a lot of Demon Hound copies before Generation 2 Melomon is because of you get a selection. You basically get a chest that gives Gen 2 stuff based on the amount of fragments, the highest amount of fragments you have of a single Melomon. So if you have a whole bunch of Demon Hound dupes, then you're going to get a lot of Gen 2 chests. And I believe the thresholds are 15 copies of Demon Hound, 21 copies of Demon Hound, and 29 copies of Demon Hound. Those are the thresholds that determine getting maximum amounts of the Gen 2 chests possible. Is it ever worth to use Stellarite for Melomon summons as a free-to-play player? If not, where can we get more summoning strings? Yes, Trashcan is always worth it during specifically a wishlist event. If you're in a wishlist event, it is absolutely worth it to use your stockpile Stellarite for Melomon summons. It's a very good way of doing it. Is the Melomon wishlist actually every 6 weeks, or is it just a hoax? So MJ23, we've had the Melomon wishlist event twice now, and it's not exactly 6 weeks. It's not on a timer. So it's not like exactly 6 weeks start to end. It's between 6 to 8 weeks roughly, but the devs actually schedule it. So it can be 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe 9 weeks in a weird case, but it's not a like clockwork event that we can predictably say it's going to come on this date exactly. We can estimate when it's going to come, but not precisely state. So yeah, when's the next Melomon raid up? Probably in 6, 7, or 8 weeks. Is it a good idea to feed imagined reality for 2 levels as a low spender to catch up? So Mark, there is a way to approach imagined reality, and that is once you have your main attack for this is mostly for DPS. Once you have your 3 crit damage moves to mythic, then you can actually pretty safely use some imagined reality as XP to get to level 60 in these 3. It's not like the most ideal thing in the long term, but at the same time, as a free-to-play player especially, you're not gonna really get yourself into a situation where you're gonna be turning every single one of your moves to mythic in a short time period. So you're gonna have time to get more imagined reality. So it's up to you. Some will say don't do it, some say absolutely do it. It's your personal preference. I would say there's no pain in doing it. How do you check if stats are capped? You go to your info here, and we'll talk about this more later, but you click on it, and you can see here that the cap refers to the numerical value of the stats. So you can see here I'm at like 49.46%. The cap is 50%. So I'm very close to the cap here. And determination, you can see I am capped. So 50% is the max you can get from a numerical value of that stat. What's the best Melomon skill for DPS during a dragon run? So Asta, it depends on which dragon. If you're talking about a dragon that you go through the full duration of the fight, like 3.5 minutes without killing it, then the best is going to be exactly what I have equipped. Your turn plus Echo plus Book of Answers. 99% of the time this is going to be the best solution. Now, there are some rare cases where swapping Book of Answers for Invisible Friend might give you more DPS, but more often than not, Book of Answers will be better. Now, if the dragon is actually dying, depending on the speed of which it dies, you might swap Book of Answers for Sharpness of Claw, for example, and that could give you more damage as you get into the 50% range of the boss's HP. But that's usually not necessarily the most ideal approach. So yeah, generally it would be your turn from Demon Hound, Echo from Colt, and Book of Answers, or Invisible Friend, or Sharpness of Claw if you're actually killing the dragon. What's the best Melomon for healers? Rita asked. So the best Melomon for healer, so the best main Melomon is going to be Snow Leopard because of the fact that it increases haste by quite a large amount. And then the best special skills are pretty much going to be Invisible Friend, which increases your attack per party member, Arcane Resonance, which increases your stacking attack, and then the third can pretty much be a mix. Like for example, Book of Answers can also be good for your healing. So can maybe in rare cases Chaos Gift. Like for example, you might be able to run Chaos Gift if you're doing Waves of Horror above hard difficulty, where stacking Melomon no longer work effective. Then you can run Chaos Gift. Is it worth it to do daily move summons to get imagined reality or save the moves for good paper plane weeks? Caleb, that's your personal preference based on how much you want to spend on the game, basically. So for me, I don't want to lose the ability to lose imagined realities. Now keep in mind, you can stockpile up to 7 imagined realities in your Melomon in your Melomon move section here. So here where it says can be claimed up to 1 time, this can go up to 7 times. So if you're, say for example, 4 days away, if you're like 4, 5, or 6 days away from a really good paper plane week, then you can let this pile up until you get to that paper plane week and then spam all your moves during the good paper plane week, so you get the benefit of the paper plane as well as not letting it stockpile to 7, in which case it caps. It doesn't go above 7, so you would start losing imagined realities. So that to me is the ideal situation, is if you're close to a good paper plane week, you can let this pile up a bit in order to take advantage of that. Someone says, unless you're a whale, I can't imagine starring up your support skills will ever take priority over leveling up pet skills. So someone, it doesn't actually work that way, because if you're doing it right, you're not going to need the skills of the Melomon you put in your support. The point is you're putting Melomon here in support that you don't need to level up the special skills. So then it's not a question of, oh, whale or free to play. It's benefiting everybody equally, because you're not going to use the special skill of the Melomon you have here. So you can use all of their dupes on support stars, because why wouldn't you? You're not losing by doing it. You know, unless you say, okay, well, I don't have so many of these crystals, in which case you would not prioritize using your shiny crystals. If you have limited shiny crystals and you want to level up your main Melomon, you'd obviously prioritize your main Melomon over your supports. But if that's not an issue for you, then you absolutely will level up your supports. Peter Chan, is there a specific way to get Demon Hound, or it's all RNG? It's all RNG mostly, but there are ways you can get specific copies of a Melomon, and that is through the wishlist event, through your guild request here, your guild wishing wall, you can request Demon Hound, and there are sometimes Melomon selection boxes, for example in Paper Plane Week or certain events and limited packs. What's the max level for legendary special skills? So the max level for legendary special skills is 12. You can see here it actually says max level reached. Now, I don't know if this increases in the future. Maybe in higher generation Melomon there's a higher max level. But for this generation of Melomon, level 12 special skill is max. I'm going to just check the rest of these questions here. You already used your imagined reality moves XP. No point in going mythic at a low level. It's better to invest in it overall. Yes, I agree. So Reed is exactly on the point. It's better to use your imagined reality for XP, since sometimes there's no point in going mythic at a low level. Yeah. How does Echo work? More range, more damage? Melee classes don't benefit much from it. No, melee classes still benefit a lot from it, but ranged benefits more. So Echo is really good, because you can see here it just increases a flat 52% all damage, and even if you are melee, you still stand for far enough away from mobs to get additional percentage, especially like for example the dragon. You are standing a good distance from the actual dragon, so you're not necessarily going to get the full 20% as a Night Weaver, for example, but you do get some effect. So yeah, damage percentage is huge, so that's why it's always better. Is Smarty better than Thunder? In 99% of cases, yes, Okami. Tank would be using Blade Hound and Demon Hound, and both remain in support, correct? Yes, sorry. Okay, so yeah, let me just clarify something with regards to support skills. So there is, if you are playing a tank or a healer, then what you would do is, if you're a Swordbearer or an Acolyte, you would put your Demon Hound and your second Melomon on the same support and main. And in that case, you would actually treat your support, either Snow Leopard or Blade Hound, the same way you would treat your Demon Hound. So you would balance your special skill and your stars, because that way you can quickly swap between the Melomon whenever you need to swap specs between healing or tanking or DPS, etc. When are we getting Gen 2 Melomon? It's quite a way away. So I would say we're probably like 12, 13 weeks away. So 4 months, I'd say. Something like that.